Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rechak Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Exodus, the 33rd chapter. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, Depart, and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, Unto thy seed I will give it, or unto thy seed will I give it. So the Lord instructs Moses, basically continue on your journey in leading these people to the promised land, right, the land of Canaan. And I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, onto a land flowing with milk and honey. And this is basically continuing of this thought here. This is like an expounding here, right? So it's like saying, the land which I swear unto your fathers, saying I will give it unto you, onto a land that's flowing with milk and honey. But don't worry, because I'm going to send an angel that's going to go, basically with you or ahead of you in your presence, and I will drive out these nations, so on and so forth, onto a land flowing with milk and honey, which is, it represents a fruitful land. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. So the Lord said, and this is after the event of Israel worshiping the golden calf, right? And that really angered the Lord. So as he says here, basically you continue and you take these people, and I'll send my angel to go with you, but I'm not going to be dwelling in the midst of you as you go, because these people are hard-headed and disobedient, and they might mess around and piss me off so bad that I might just kill them all while in the journey to the land. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ornaments, which is like the jewels, the gold, and so on. As it reads in the NLT, when the people heard these stern words, they went into mourning and stopped wearing their jewelry and fine clothes. For the Lord Yahweh had said unto Moses, Say unto the children of Israel, Ye are a stiff-necked people, right? So you're very disobedient, you're hard of hearing. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment and consume thee. Therefore now put off thine ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And, this in another wording would be like, you people are very disobedient people. Now, you better go ahead and take off those ornaments before I come over there in an instant and consume you, while I, decide what it is that I'm going to do unto you, like an angry or an upset parent. And it's interesting, right? Because what was it that they built the golden calves out of? The earrings and which are considered ornaments as well. So the Lord was not even trying to see that. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by the Mount Horeb. And Moses took the tabernacle and pitched it without the camp. Now this tabernacle is not the same one that the Most High had given him instructions to build, because in the later chapters, it then goes into when they actually start the building of these things, right? So this would be the tabernacle where he would go to talk with the Most High. But you notice it says here, he took it and he pitched it without the camp. So he moved it afar off from the camp and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that everyone which sought the Lord went out onto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp, because the Lord was upset and he wasn't trying to, he wasn't going to dwell in the midst of Israel at this point. And it came to pass when Moses went out onto the tabernacle, that all the people rose up and stood every man at his tent's door and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle. So they would basically watch, and see, and as Moses went to the tabernacle. And it came to pass as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended So this cloudy pillar being a chariot, more than likely, right, based on all the other precepts as we've gone through, it descended. So if it was hovering up above, it would now start to descend low and lower and lower and lower, and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and the Lord Yahweh talked with Moses. And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose up and worshipped, every man in his tent door. So they didn't go close to the to the tabernacle of the congregation. They worshiped from their tents. And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. Now, it's interesting, or it's important to note here, even though it says face to face, it's not in the sense that you would think of like you're looking directly at somebody's face and talking to them. When it says that the Lord spoke to Moses face to face, what it means was that he spoke to him, in a direct sense, right? Not through similitudes or through dark sayings, but basically he spoke to him directly. Now, this could have been via an angel or just a voice, but like he did on the on the mount when he first made himself, he appeared to Moses. And you notice in that sense, it was really an angel talking to Moses, but when you read it, it was an angel that spoke as the Lord, right? Exodus 3:2. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush was burned, and the bush was not consumed. But as you keep on reading, right, the perspective of the angel or the voice speaks as though it's the Lord, right? Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. But this was the angel that was speaking with Moses, but in the stead of the Lord. So here it is. The Lord spoke to Moses face to face, but it didn't mean that he was speaking, Moses was seeing the face of the Lord as he spoke with him. And the chapter itself, proves that, because then later on, Moses asked to see the glory of the Lord. Okay, and why do that if you already saw his face? And the Lord's response gives you all the information you need to know from there. But in any case, it says, as a man speaketh unto his friend. So the Lord didn't hide anything from Moses either. And he turned again into the camp. After he was done speaking with the Lord, he returned back to the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. So Joshua stayed in the tabernacle, but Moses would return back to the camp where Israel was. And Moses said unto the Lord Yahweh, see, thou sayest unto me, bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Because remember, the Lord said I will send an angel before you. And Moses is basically making his request to the Lord to say, Lord, you've instructed me to deliver these people into this land. You said you're going to send an angel before me. You haven't told me who, right? Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. But you said, that you know me very well, right? And I'm pleasing in your sight. And what Moses is getting at, as we're going to read here, is that, with the Lord saying that he was going to not dwell in the midst of Israel, Moses wanted to gain a deeper insight of the Lord, right? He wanted to become even more acquainted with the Lord. As he says, now therefore I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, shew me now thy way. Now, when you go into the Hebrew word for way, it's I believe it's darak, which darak, which goes into way, road, but also manner, habit, way, course of life, or moral character. So Moses was asking to know more about the Lord. He wanted to know the Lord in a more in a closer manner. As he says, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, so that I can continue to serve you, but in a in a better sense, if I know you better. And consider that this nation is thy people. And in addition, because the Lord said that he wouldn't, dwell in the midst of them, but Moses was also requesting to to basically draw closer to the Lord, for the Lord to reveal more of himself to Moses. But in addition, for the Lord to remember and not be too harsh on his people, considering that they are still his people. And you can see why Moses was in the role of an intercessor here, right? At least on earth in at this time, for Israel, because he would always plead on their behalf. And he said, the Lord's response, my presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And that rest would be basically, all right, fine. My presence will go with you, right? Because I did say I'll send my angel, but I will give you rest, as in comfort or satisfaction in answering your request. All right, which, as we're gonna go down to read, he basically I'm looking for humors. You can say that Moses' request or grants it. And he said unto him, this is Moses' response, if thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. So if your presence is not with us, then don't take us out of here. We only want to go if you with us. For wherein shall it be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? So how else is it going to be known that we have found grace in your sight? Is it not in that thou goest with us? Isn't it by you traveling with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. That is how we are separated. That's what makes us separate from everybody else. The fact that you are nigh unto us. I think there's a precept actually on that. So nigh. I think it might be in Deuteronomy. There you go. Deuteronomy 4:7. For what nation is there so great, who have the Most High, or who have God so nigh unto them, as the Lord Yahweh our God is in all things that we call upon him for? See? And so that's what Moses is saying. You being with us and traveling with us, your presence being here separates us from everybody else. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken. So I will grant you this request that you have spoken. For thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. Which is to say that I am fond of you, right? You have found favor in my eyes, and I know you well. Verse 18, and he said, I beseech thee. So Moses makes a request. Shew me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord Yahweh before thee. And the glory is, remember, the Most High is majestic, right? And so Moses wanted to see, because what makes you glorious is your appearance, right? In that sense, because Moses knew the power of the Lord, but he wanted to get closer to the Lord, right? He wanted to see the Lord. So the Lord says, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord Yahweh before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. So basically he says, okay, I'll show you my goodness, but keep in mind that this grace and this mercy is for me to give to who I want. And he said, thou canst not see my face. So that answers the part in the verse above. I think it was verse 11 about face to face. So it goes to show you that's not literally face to face. So the Lord tells Moses, no, you cannot see my actual face, for there shall no man see me and live. And when you look at this in, I think it's the NLT, or yeah, I forgot what other translation it was, or maybe it wasn't a translation, but there was a part that I read where it used the word survive. All right. So the Lord basically tells Moses, no, you cannot see me. You can't directly see my face, because there you go. No man can see me. There shall no man see me and live. And the Lord Yahweh said, behold, there is a place by me that thou shalt stand upon a rock. So the Lord picked out a location and basically said, you go stand here in this area. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock. That's like a cave or an opening in the rock. And I will cover thee with my hand while I pass. So this would be a covering, right? A certain covering that would block that immense glory, right? Of the Lord as he's directly passing, so that Moses wouldn't see it. Okay, now when it says the glory here, because it's using these terms, right? It's not telling you plainly, it's using these terms. So at best, this is what we have, right? And we can speculate, as to this being, say, maybe this was an angel, maybe this was Yahushua, maybe this was a chariot, right? When it says the glory of the Lord that passed by, as opposed to maybe a giant figure, right, of the Lord actually walking by, because then who wouldn't have seen him, right? If you're like a super giant that's walking by, everybody would have probably seen you. So basically, we just know that this was the presence of the Lord, right? Now, in what tangible form it took, we don't know, right? Because it doesn't tell us. But long story short, we know that Moses didn't see it directly. That's why the Lord said, I'm going to cover you with my hand. And this likely wasn't his literal fingers, okay? Because what would the fingers be attached to? If these were the Lord's literal fingers, then they would be huge in order to cover the cave, the opening of that cave. And if his fingers were that big, then you can imagine the rest of his body. And if the rest of his body was that big, then people around would have seen him. So as it says here, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by, and I will take away mine hand, which will be whatever covering that the Lord used to block so Moses couldn't see everything. Maybe it was a chariot, maybe it was, whatever it was. And thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. Okay. And, this once again would be the back parts, as in the aftermath of the Lord's presence, right? So Moses would still see some glory. Was this a giant light? Was this fire? Was this a chariot? Was this a, whatever it was, we don't know in detail, okay? Because the Lord said that this would be his goodness or his glory that he would basically pass by Moses with. And as it says, but my face shall not be seen. So in all, in this chapter, a couple of things that are important to keep in mind is, though the Lord spoke to Moses directly, right, without, like some crooked ways or whatnot, Moses never actually saw the Most High's face. And even when he requested to see the glory of the Lord, he still didn't get to see the Most High's face directly. Okay. And the Lord himself told him why that was the case. And this is also why when you go into the future from this point in time, as we read in an example being in the book of Judges, and also in the book of, actually even in the past, right, in the book of Genesis, Jacob feared, but also Manoah feared. Because what did he tell his wife after the angel left? He said, basically, the Lord is going to kill us because we've seen the face of God. And then his wife said, well, if he was going to kill us, why would he tell us all these things about the baby and so on and so forth? Okay, so that is that. And that brings us to the end of the book of Exodus, the 33rd chapter. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.